And we're going to finish off the stream today on Review the Prem, where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. The scores on the doors are 164 to Sim to 173 to me. And the way the scoring works is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. Starman, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's see how we got on our predictions over the weekend. Starting off at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Both of us went for 3-1 to Newcastle. But yeah, I think I was pleasantly surprised by the Spurs performance on the weekend. I think we lost 2-1, but we definitely could have taken something from the game, which was very frustrating. Bad refereeing, I thought, throughout. Newcastle could have had about 2 men sent off on the day. But I think pretty much they won the game in a 25-minute period where they absolutely dominated us and created bucket loads of chances.
Yeah, and I think given all the circumstances going into this game, illness, injury crisis, in mid-game, Dragoshin going off at half-time as well. Tottenham had a lot of circumstances to contend with, and I thought they really stood up and gave it a really good go. And Newcastle coming into this game 5 wins in a row, probably expecting a heavy defeat considering how they went to Old Trafford and really battered Man United. I thought Tottenham did really well. I think the handball was a disgraceful decision. I think it's a handball. I think the goal should be ruled out. I think Newcastle maturity benefited from Joel Linton sticking his hand out and blocking Bergval's pass and pretty much set up the goal. So I think we had right to be aggrieved. I think that should have been ruled out. But other than that, obviously, yeah, some other decisions. I think Dan Burn should have been sent off for a second bookable offence. I think Joel Linton was lucky to stay on the pitch. But Tottenham just couldn't create those good enough chances in that second half to really force the issue. And as much as they put everything into the game, it was just unlucky in the end. But Newcastle 6 wins, I think, in a row now after that, and right in that race for top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Villa against Leicester next. It finished 2-1 to Aston Villa. Again, we both went for 3-1 to Villa, but it was only 2-1 with Ross Barkley and Leon Bailey getting on the score sheet for Aston Villa with Mavdivdi. It all came in like the stretch of like 20 minutes, all the goals, didn't it? And it was a stalemate in the first half. No one really seemed like wanted the win. I thought Leicester were doing a good job on containing Villa, really. But yeah, Villa got the job done in the end.
Yeah, it seemed like Leicester had learned a few lessons from how they were playing earlier parts of Van Nistelrooy's tenure, where they were just so open, conceding loads and loads of chances. That wasn't quite happening in this game, but Villa, the quality showed through in the end. A really nice goal from Ross Barkley, giving them the lead. But they did concede straight away, and you thought maybe Villa were going to snatch a draw here, but Leon Bailey got the win with 15 minutes to go. It's a good win in the end for Aston Villa, puts them in 8th, still right. Look, in the hunt for Europe, they're 4 points away from Chelsea now, who are in 4th. So they definitely haven't ruled out their top four exploits. They're still pretty inconsistent. Their last 5 games is loss, win, loss, draw, win. So still not the whole season. They've kind of been. I mean, like a lot of teams, they've been inconsistent. But this is a good win, and they'll take heart in it.
Yeah.
Leicester, on the other hand, that's another loss, though. 6 losses, I think, in a row now.
Yeah, I do think you're looking at Leicester and Southampton, the writing's on the wall a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to see them turning it around.
Bournemouth against Everton. It finished 1-0 to Bournemouth. Sim went for 1-1. I went for 1-0. So a big fat 5-pointer comes in my direction. And yeah, I think Bournemouth, got there in the end. With about 10 minutes to go, they broke the deadlock with a brilliant goal, by the way. What a ball in the box to Kirkes and David Brooks with the volley into the bottom corner. I mean, a goal of the highest quality. But yeah, I mean, Bournemouth were peppering them for pretty much the whole game. I think they created 5 or 6 big chances on the day. Everton, I don't think they had much ambition going the other way. But yeah, Bournemouth, well-deserved 3 points in the end.
Yeah, I thought Bournemouth in the first half could have really been 2 or 3 up. They didn't take their chances, and I thought things really slowed down in the second half, and it looked like they were running out of ideas. But brilliant goal from Brooks, and that got the win in the end, and that bit of quality shone through. Everton they're struggling to score goals at the moment. They haven't. When was the last time they scored a goal, Everton? I can't remember. They got how many 0-0s they got? 1-0 loss this week, 2-0 loss against Forest.
Last goal was against Man City.
They scored Man City. That's 1 goal in their last, 10 games?
Nah, because they beat Wolves 4-0.
They beat... Okay, so they beat Wolves 4-0, but they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, In their last 10 games, right, they've scored 4 against Wolves and they got 1 against City. That's it.
Yeah, it's mad.
That's it. So 8 of their last 10 games they haven't scored. That's madness. And that's why Sean Dyche is facing the chopping block at the moment, apparently.
Sean Dyche is under a lot of pressure. And when you're looking at the results that Ipswich are getting at the moment, you know, Everton are banging trouble at the moment. And
They're 3 points away from Leicester in 19th.
They're talking about a tug of war for Graham Potter between Everton and West Ham. I mean, if Graham Potter goes to Everton, right, with the squad that they have, does he keep them up?
I don't know. I think he's got a much better chance of moulding West Ham into what he wants them to be than Everton.
I think Sean Dyche has a better chance of keeping them up with the football he plays than... I know they're not doing well at the moment.
They've scored, 2
I
games.
get that. But, you know, we always talk about Everton. In the last 2-3 years, they've had relegation battles and then saved themselves. And they've always gone through a period like this. Maybe not as bad in terms of scoring goals, but they always go through a period where we're thinking, oh, are Everton actually going to go down this season? But they always seem to save themselves.
Yeah, but maybe it'll be a year too. Sometimes you just hit that year, and it's a bit too much. It might be. Who knows? I honestly, I think they should bring in Moyes. I'm not even joking. That's not even me joking. I think Moyes could come in and really invigorate them. He's a club legend. They love him there. I think he can.
They don't actually.
Why not?
Apparently Everton fans are dead against it.
From what I've seen, they don't seem that against it.
Well, I'm just saying what I've heard.
According to who?
My Everton family.
I see. I think Moyes. Why would they against it? Why would they not like him? He was brilliant there. He didn't leave on bad terms. He was there for over 10 years. He only left to go to Man United. He didn't get sacked. He was actually brilliant at Wolves. Everton, sorry. His last job, he did really well at West Ham. Let's be honest. He got them consistent European football. And look, he ended up leaving, but he left after winning them a European trophy. Like, he did a good job there. So
all I've been told is the majority of match-going Evertonians don't want him.
Maybe, but from what I've seen on social media, they seem open to it.
Yeah.
That's all I can go on. But I think they should. I think if they bring him in, it could reinvigorate them a bit, even if it's just an interim from now to the end of the season.
The context of this conversation is that me and Tim have a bet on this. We have a bet on this.
I think they should bring him in.
And
I think get Moyes back. One last dance.
If Moyes does come in from now to the end of the season, then I've got to do one of these episodes in fancy dress. If Moyes doesn't come in from now to the end of the season, I guess Sim's got to do what? The last episode of the year, I guess, in fancy dress.
I think they should bring Moyes in.
I bet you do.
But I actually do. I actually think that would be a good appointment. I do think he's a better manager than Sean Dyche. I know Dyche he's done well to keep him up, but clearly right now, whatever he's doing just isn't working at the moment. I know he got 3 0-0 draws in some big games, so fair play, but you just can't go through a period where you got scoring in 2 goals in 10 games. 2 games, sorry. In 2 of them. It's just not good enough, even for a team like Everton. Even on the squad they have, they should be scoring more goals than that. And the stats say their XG per game is one of the lowest in the league. That's throughout the whole season. So they're really struggling to create chances right now. So maybe that's why they're considering a change. And if this form carries on, they could well go down. They've got Villa next. Then they've got Spurs. They've got Brighton. I mean, there's some tough games coming up. So, yeah, I do wonder if he's on his last legs.
Well, all will be revealed very, very soon, but it won't be Moyes, I guarantee you that. Next up
Can't guarantee anything.
Next up is Crystal Palace against Chelsea. Finished 1-1. Sim went for 2-1 to Palace. I went for 1-1, so another 5-pointer comes in my direction. And I felt this was really a proper, one of those tales of 2 halves where Chelsea were the better team in the first half, got into the lead with Cole Palmer early on, couldn't get that second goal, and that was the thing that hurt them, because I think Chelsea didn't really come out for that second half, did they? And Palace were the ones in the ascendancy, and they finally got that goal with Mateta with less than 10 minutes to go, and the game finished 1-1.
Yeah, I think it was a close game. I think Chelsea will be annoyed in that first half. They didn't probably kill it off, but I mean, they didn't create loads of chances. They had a couple of moments. Jackson went through and should have maybe made it 2 with a one-on-one finish, but he put it wide with the outside of his boot. But it would have been a good finish. He would have got it in from there. Obviously, Palmer scored a nice goal to give him the lead. But it was one of those games where you always felt like if Chelsea didn't get the second, they're always going to get a caught out in one moment, and that's exactly what happened. Palmer gets caught in a really bad situation right in the middle of the Chelsea half. Palace were just ruthless. Clinically got it to Eze, laid off Mateta, and bam, it's 1-1. And if anyone was going to win it, actually looked like Palace were going to win it. They had a couple of moments where they looked like they could create chances, and it could have been a winner there, but they're well worth their draw. And look, Palace have, as we've said, they're becoming a lot harder to beat. They've really turned their form around. They've got a really good point in this one. I think I know they're still only right now they are 5 points clear of the relegation. So as things stand, they're still kind of in that mix, but and they've only won 4 games the whole season. But I do think they've really turned their form around. They've become a lot better in recent weeks, and I think they'll be fine for it when it comes to relegation. I really do. I don't think there'll be any problems there, and I think they'll end up finishing probably where they are, maybe a couple places between 13th and where they are. They'll probably finish there, but I can't see anyone below them right now finishing above them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think they've got good players there. They really do, and they've got a good manager there as well.
Yeah, exactly. From Chelsea's point of view, though, 4th game in a row, no points dropped, 2 defeats, 2 draws. They're now only 2 points ahead of City, 3 points ahead of Bournemouth in 7th. So if this carries on, they could find themselves mid-table very soon.
Yeah, Maresca out.
Maybe Maresca's second half of the season. Maresca.
Yeah, it's kind of followed him around, hasn't it? It's followed him from Leicester. Because I was hearing when Maresca did leave Leicester, I did see on social media quite a lot of Leicester fans being like, "Oh well, he flopped in the second half of the season anyway."
Well, they did. They were like 12 points clear, weren't they? And they completely threw it away, and then they ended up just clawing it back at the end.
They clawed it back a little bit at the end, but they were 12 points clear, and then they were second at one point, weren't they?
Yeah. So they did throw away. So look. Chelsea definitely stumbling at the moment, and it's not as if they've been unlucky. They've not played well really in the last few games.
Yeah,
they really have stumbled. So they've got to get back into form.
Yeah. Next up is Manchester City 4, West Ham 1. Man City with back-to-back wins for the first time in God knows how long. Sim went for 3-0. I went for 2-0. And yeah, this was pretty much a battering. West Ham, again, another manager that's seriously under pressure at the moment with Julian Lopetegui. Sounds like they are putting the feelers out. I think there was a picture of Tim Stainton and Graham Potter in a meeting together. So, I mean, when you start seeing that, the writing is really on the wall for Lopetegui. But on Man City, Erling Haaland back in the goals, 2 goals in this one. Phil Foden back in the goals as well. And I thought Savinho looked so good in this game, laying on 2 assists on the day. De Bruyne as well, notching himself an assist. So, yeah, look, Man City are going to have a lot harder test to come. But good for them to, put 4 goals past West Ham.
Definitely, again, what we said about them last game, Savinho. I think he's been underrated this season because of the lack of output, but he's really getting that output in the last few games. You can really see what he brings. Some of his assists were absolutely fantastic, right on the money for the Man City attackers, and I think his dribbling ability is brilliant. I think it was only a matter of time before the output would come, and now we're starting to see it regularly. I think West Ham again. They were very, very passive in their play, just allowing Man City to play their football. However, what I would say is West Ham did have a number of openings in this one. And if Kudus had his shooting boots on, this definitely could have been a lot closer than the scoreline suggested. I thought West Ham definitely had chances. And Man City were not secure in any way. I do think that 4-1 scoreline flatters them a bit. And obviously they did get a goal late on through Fulkrug, but it was too little too late. But Man City, with the players they have, if you allow them the opportunity to play and you don't really try and ruffle their feathers and stop them from playing, they can do that to you even in this period, and they showed that. So fair play to Man City, good win. That's now 2 wins on the trot for them, so they're right back in it when it comes to getting back into that top 4. They're 6 points away from second now and Arsenal, so you wouldn't bet against them closing that gap, especially if they can reinforce in January.
Yeah, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they've got them Liverpool and Arsenal both coming up pretty soon. Oh, well, they've got Chelsea at the end of January. Then they got Arsenal away at the beginning of Feb, and Liverpool at home in Feb as well. So, yeah, if they can start putting a run of form together and beat those teams, can they be back in the title race?
They need to show that they can really start winning games consistently again. But if they can, then why not? Especially if they can get a signing or 2 this month. And they're talking about Marmoush. Maybe they'll get a centre mid. But yeah, whereas a West Ham, I think, for West Ham's point of view, it's just the manner of how they're losing games. They just keep getting battered. And even when they win, they don't look convincing. They're winning like scrappy wins where they get a bit lucky and things like that. So from that point of view, look, it's not necessarily the results in itself. It's just more the how they look, how they're playing, the performance-wise, have just been so bad, and that's why he's on his way out. It looks like they've had enough of him.
To be fair, though, the batterings that they've taken is all against teams where you expect them to get battered. You know, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal.
I mean, they've conceded 39 goals. I mean, that's only worsened by
14,
Leicester and Southampton.
14 were in those 3 games.
14 were in those 3 games. They're not playing well in any game.
No, I agree that, but I mean, you're saying that they keep getting battered.
How many batterings they taken?
I mean, since like November time, it's only those 3 games.
I'm saying the whole season.
Yeah, they got battered by us. They got battered by Forest.
Yeah, how many batterings? That's what I'm saying. So many batterings this season. A lot of batterings. Not just since November, even before. And that's why they've had enough. They just.
I think Lopetegui should be sacked, and I think he should have been sacked before that. But I'm just saying, in the recent weeks, those are the only teams that they've been battered by.
Yeah, but they haven't played well in any other game.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
But they've also been battered at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and I agree. Lopetegui should be sacked.
But I don't understand the point you're making.
You say they keep getting battered, but they don't keep getting battered.
They do. You just said at the beginning of the season and in recent weeks they keep getting battered.
Yeah, but it's only against the top teams.
Not only though.
Yeah, it is.
You just said at the beginning of the season they were getting battered.
They've got battered by the 3 teams sitting at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man City are not sitting at the top, but Man City, Arsenal, and then it's Forest and Spurs. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So there's 5 batterings. That's a lot for any team. That's a lot of batterings. I think that's a 1 in every 4 games they're getting battered. That is keep getting battering.
Yeah. But I'm just saying in recent weeks, it's only against the top teams. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. That's not really a defence.
I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying that you saying they keep getting battered, but they haven't in recent weeks.
They have. They're 1 in every 4 games they get battered.
All right, fine.
I don't understand why I'm saying that's wrong. Okay, but yeah, he's little car alarm.
Oh, there's always bloody alarms going off in this bloody place.
But there you have it. I think he'll be out, and I think Potter will do a really good job if he's appointed. He's got a lot to work with there, got a lot of attacking talent. So I think Graham Potter should be licking his lips at that job, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you do look at the table though with West Ham. They're level points with Man United, and only 1 point behind us.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's the performances more than anything that's getting in the sack, more than the results.
Yeah.
As much as the results aren't good as well, but again, they keep getting battered a lot. Even when they do win, they're not playing well. Even when they do win. And they don't seem to be. They look at the attacking talent they have. They should be doing a lot more with that. They're just not. And defensively, he was a manager who prides himself on being resolute and hard to beat, and they conceded 39 goals. So,
yeah. Who do we have next? Southampton against Brentford. What a game this was! 5-0. Another 5-0 battering at home for Southampton under 2 different managers. Brentford were just on fire in this game. I think they created about 11 big chances on the day, and it could have been a lot more than 5. Sim went for 2-1. I went for 1-1 in the muddiest predictions. But yeah, unplayable Brentford.
Yeah, they completely tore them to shreds. Wissa and Mbeumo top form. They completely took Southampton to the sword, and it just goes, look at the first couple of games, it looked like Southampton has slightly improved under this manager, but on this evidence, he's still got a lot of work to do to turn this ship around. And they went from losing 5-0 to only 1-0 in the past couple of games and 2-1, but now another 5-0 battering. So clearly a lot of stuff to sort out. I just think the writing's on the wall for them. They set Martin, but I just don't think it's going to save them.
Yeah, I feel like this guy has been come in to just bring them up next season.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Brentford though, Brian Mbeumo, man, what a season this guy is having. I'm not sure what the numbers are behind him, but he just seems to score every week. No matter if they win or lose, he's always on the score sheet.
Yeah, what a season. 13 goals for him, 10 goals for Wissa. Those two have really made up for the absence of Tony, and they haven't missed him at all. So really fantastic. First of all, fantastic management from Frank to kind of adjust to that situation, but also brilliant seasons from them. But now the situation is, how long will they hold on to Mbeumo?
Yeah, but yeah, I was talking about...
They nearly lost Wissa.
I was talking about my muddy prediction of 1-1. I didn't even clock that you predicted Southampton to win in this game.
Well, I considered Brentford's away form has been so bad. I thought Southampton had been better recently, but yeah, Clearly, it was wrong.
Brighton against Arsenal at the Amex. It finished 1-1.
Should have gone for your weekly prediction.
I don't know why I didn't, man. I don't know why I didn't. We both predicted Arsenal to win 2-1. And, Arsenal take the lead in the first half. And you're thinking, Brighton have been really poor of late. Maybe.
Oh, sorry. No, keep going.
And maybe Arsenal will go on and have a convincing win. But I felt like Brighton get a penalty in the second half, which I thought it was a ridiculous decision, that penalty. After the penalty, Arsenal did nothing to go and try and get the lead again. I thought Arsenal were embarrassing, really, after the 1-1.
I thought they were. I actually thought before the 1-1 they weren't particularly amazing. As much as they had the control of the game, obviously Nwaneri scored a nice goal, and they did go 1-0 up, and they were probably like the better of the sides, albeit they didn't exactly create loads of chances. And I actually thought, again, teams are adjusting to their corner tactics. I'm not saying they're not dangerous from corners anymore because they still scored against Brentford. But what Brighton did, and it's what Palace did, and it's what Brentford did as well, is they're leaving 3 players up from corners now, up front. So it means that the corner box is less congested. It also means Saliba doesn't go up from corners as much as well. So it's meaning that Arsenal are less of a threat. So it's quite interesting to see how teams are adjusting to Arsenal's corner tactics. What I would say about the penalty, was it a wrong decision? Probably. I think it was harsh. But I don't think it's as much of a disgrace as people are saying, because people are calling it a clash of heads. People are describing it as if there was a cross came in and Saliba just mistimed the header and it was just a clash of heads. It wasn't just a clash of heads. What happened was the ball comes to João Pedro. He flicks it with his head over Saliba and actually is running round him, and he's going to get the return pass. So he's running onto his own flick, right? And as he's running onto his own flick, Saliba comes in and mistimes his header and bumps his header into João Pedro. So it stops João Pedro getting onto his own flick, right? So it's not like it's a header where it's mistimed and it's a challenge where they both go up for a header and João Pedro wins the header and he's not getting onto his own header. He just like goes for goal or something and it's just a clash of heads. João Pedro is actively going to go and get his own flick on, right? So he is prevented from doing that by Saliba heading him. Now, the fact is Saliba does get a little touch on the ball. But on the flip side of that, it's not Saliba won the ball. João Pedro wins it first and flicks it onto Saliba's head. It's not like Saliba goes in for the challenge and wins the ball with his head. It's that João Pedro wins the header and flicks it onto Saliba, and then Saliba, his head goes into João Pedro and prevents João Pedro. It's actually a bit more similar to a mistimed challenge than it is to a clash of heads, in my opinion. So I do think it's a lot different to people calling it a clash of heads like you would see in the middle of the park, where it is a 50-50. I do think it's more of a foul than people are suggesting. And I think if Saliba doesn't touch the ball, then I actually do think it is a foul. But Saliba does get a bit of the ball, and in that case, he's a bit unlucky that the fact is given a penalty, and albeit, given its referee's call and all this stuff, is there enough there for VAR to overturn it? I think it's actually a lot closer than people give it credit for. But I do think, do Arsenal have a right to feel a bit hard done by? Maybe a bit, because I think he does get a touch on the ball, and it's a bit of a soft penalty. But I also think people aren't looking at the situation right. I don't think it's just a normal clash of heads.
So it wasn't a penalty?
I think it's a soft one, but I can see why it was given. I think I can see why it was given, because it's not just a simple clash of heads.
I think if a penalty gets given away against us like that, I think we're fuming. I do think we're fuming.
Yeah, probably. I'm just saying it's not a simple clash of heads. I don't think it's as simple as what people are saying. It's just a normal clash of heads. That's not the case. João Pedro's flicking it over Saliba and running onto it, and then Saliba's head goes into João Pedro, preventing him from getting that flick on.
But he wins the ball.
Doesn't win the ball.
I mean, he gets a touch on the ball.
Yeah, but the ball gets flicked onto him. He doesn't win the ball.
I just think it's just one of those things where it's just an unfortunate event where the heads clash. And
see, that's what I'm saying. It's not. It
is.
It's not a clash of heads, though. It's like a mistimed challenge. That's what it's more like. It's more like a mistimed challenge because, as I say, it's not two players going up for a header. João Pedro flicks it over Saliba and is about to follow on and run through onto his own flick on. It's not like both players are going up for a header and the ball is gone after that. He's actively still in play, João Pedro, once he flicks that header on.
Whatever you say, I mean, it was incredibly harsh. It was incredibly harsh. And I do think Arsenal have a good reason to feel aggrieved for that one. But look, the reality is Brighton were kind of building their way into their game at that moment in time. They got their goal via the penalty, and Arsenal did nothing. If they've got any sort of title ambitions to be in this title race, they need to be doing more in these kind of games. and they keep dropping these kind of points. Everton, Brighton, and there was another one, Fulham as well, in recent weeks. And I know Liverpool dropped points this weekend, but these are the weekends when Liverpool drop points where they need to be taking maximum points, and this keeps happening to them.
Yeah, and now Saka, with the Saka injury, Wanyeri came in, did really well, but he's injured now for a few weeks, so that's another player gone. So that's going to really stifle them as well on the forward line. They already looked, even with Saka, a bit not creative, so I can really see them struggling on that department. And if anyone was going to win it later on, it was going to be Brighton. They had that big chance with Minter right at the end where they probably should have scored that, and they could have been easily a 2-1 win for Brighton. So I just can't see them having the consistency. Yeah, I know Liverpool take advantage, so they're still only 6 points behind, albeit Liverpool have a game in hand. But again, are they going to go on this run where they're winning all these games? They'll win games, don't get me wrong, but I just see them dropping too many points.
Next up is Fulham against Ipswich. It finished 2-2. Sim took a 5-pointer in this one.
That's why I was shocked. I didn't know I had 2-2. I thought I had 1-1, so I was a bit surprised. So I'm happy with that.
And I've gone for 1-1. So 5 to Sim, 1 to me. Look, Fulham, they controlled the game in terms of possession. Ipswich just kept catching them out, didn't they? And I thought Fulham played a good game, but they just were too susceptible to the counter-attack. I thought Fulham were the better team here.
Fulham, probably the better team, but I actually think Ipswich as well will feel like they could have easily won this game because obviously they took the lead. They went 1-0 up. I thought it was a fairly even game in that first half. I don't think there was too much in it, to be honest. I think, if anything, Ipswich could have had they did have the lead in the first half, didn't they? So I don't think that was completely against run of play. I thought it was quite an even game, but Fulham
3 penalties in this game.
They did step up in the second half, Fulham, and obviously they got the penalty. They levelled it up, but then straight away they got the penalty again, Ipswich, and I actually don't think it was a penalty. I actually think Castagna doesn't make much contact with the lap, much contact. And I think Ipswich were lucky to get that penalty and make it 2-1. But at 2-1, they hit the post there, Ipswich, right, and it's funny, they hit the post, and from that attack, Fulham get another penalty. So it easily could have been 3-1 Ipswich, and instead it made it 2-2 to Fulham, 2-2 in the game, and Fulham obviously get the point. Fulham, that's 2 home games in a row against the bottom sides where they haven't won. 0-0 against Southampton and 2-2 against Ipswich. So I don't know if there's a pattern there. Great point for Ipswich in the end, albeit they'll be disappointed they didn't win, but just carries on some good form they've been having lately, where they beat Chelsea. A few weeks ago they beat Wolves, and now they got the draw. So put them right in the fight for saving themselves relegation. I think they are playing well, even when they were losing at the beginning of the season. They were having some good performances.
Yeah, so they went through a bit of a period recently of not playing well and losing games. And it seems like they're over that rut a bit now, and they're starting to pick up some points and playing well.
Yeah, level on points with Wolves, 1 point behind Everton as well. So a bit of a real relegation dogfight there.
Let's go to Anfield. Liverpool 2, Manchester United 2. Sim went for 4-1. I went to 5-0, all in the favour of Liverpool. And I was just shocked how poor Liverpool were actually playing in this game. Trent was all out at sea. Everyone's saying, "Oh, does he have one eye on Real Madrid?" and all that kind of stuff. They really decided to target down that side, Manchester United, and they got all sorts of joy. They really did. And Man United, this is the best I've seen them play since Amorim has come in. And Amorim looked like really frustrated after the game because he's like, why the hell can you play like this at Anfield, but not play like this week in, week out when we're getting battered to everyone that we're playing? And yeah, I mean, it is a massive source of frustration for Amorim, but is that kind of green shoots you're starting to see maybe the fruits of his labour now?
Potentially. Clearly they were much more up for it. You saw the challenges they were putting in. So strong. Maguire was putting in real strong challenges, and they were really up for it, Man United, and they seemed a lot more confident, very brave on the ball, getting forward, and they just seemed a lot more fearless in this game. And that's what they should be doing week in, week out. Albeit, even in this game, to be fair, that game, they could have easily been behind in the first half with some of the chances Liverpool had. McAllister had a really good chance. Gakpo was one-on-one as well. So they were lucky that they didn't concede in that first half, to be honest. Albeit, Højlund also had a one-on-one, so they should have scored. But so I guess they had as good a chance as they gave away, but it's not like they didn't give away chances. But brilliant goal from Martinez, got them in the lead. Shock to everyone. Is like,
what a finish
that was.
What a finish.
But what was Trent doing? gave the ball away and then just didn't defend. It was just shocking from him.
It was lazy. It was lazy, man. If I was a Liverpool fan watching that, I'd be fuming.
It was terrible. Just gave the ball away sloppily and then just allowed Martinez to waltz into the penalty box. But fair play to Martinez. What a goal. Roof of the net. But then Liverpool did turn it around. They were 2-1 up within, I think, 15 minutes. Great goal from Gakpo.
Yeah.
Scored straight away. And then a penalty, which I did think, unfortunately, was a penalty. Hand was high from De Ligt, and Salah scored. And then from that point, you're thinking 2-1. It's only going to be one winner here. And I thought Liverpool just allowed the game to drift at that point. I thought maybe they felt the game was won. Maybe they thought the game was over because they allowed it to drift. And Man United were just slowly creeping back into the game. It's not like they had a lot of chances, but they hit them with a sucker punch. Really nice goal from Diallo. And then from that point, Man United had chances to win it, especially right at the end from Maguire. What a miss that was.
Was that offside?
Might have been. It would have been a close one. Not definitive. It probably would have been close, but it might have been offside. But if it wasn't, what a miss from Maguire, blazing it over the bar. And albeit, Liverpool
call it a defender's finish.
To be fair, Liverpool also had chances to win it. They had a couple of chances from corners, didn't they? Van Dijk had a chance.
That Van Dijk chance, he would be fuming. And he was so visibly fuming throughout the game, wasn't he, Van Dijk? He's like, what is this defending around me?
Yeah, every time they got to him, he was just shaking his head like, who am I dealing with? So I think a draw is probably a fair result. I think Liverpool, to be fair, still had the better chances and still on the balance of play should have won the game.
Yeah, but you got to look at what Man U have been through over the last couple of weeks, the results, the performances that they're putting out. And then to go to Anfield with what Liverpool have done all season and to get a draw like that, playing like that, I think it's very impressive.
I'm not saying it's not impressive. I'm just saying on the balance of play, Liverpool could have easily won that game with the chances they had. But yeah, fair play to Man United. Going into the game, no one gave them a hope. It's probably the second year in a row no one gave them a hope and they got a draw at Anfield. So fair play. Liverpool will be a bit of a blow to them because this game, if they win, that would have been 8 points clear with a game in hand. You're thinking, how is anyone going to catch them? Now it's 6 points and it's still a bit more in the balance, but still big favourites even with that draw. But I think they'll be really disappointed. They just didn't. There was a big opportunity to really take another step closer to that title, and they just missed it.
Yeah, which will be a big source of frustration to the whole of the team and Arne Slot because it was there for them. It was there for them, and very frustrating for them. But I just thought these games always get these big build-up, don't they? And then I thought the first half was such a boring game, really drab game, and then it just kind of burst into life in the second half. But last game was Monday Night Football at Molineux. It was 3-0 to Nottingham Forest, and we're talking about title races. Nottingham Forest, whatever you want to say about them at this moment of time, they're in it.
They're level on points of Arsenal, so if they're in it, then Forest are in it, and they keep winning. They're not conceding goals. They're playing very, very well at the moment. It's another brilliant win for them against the Wolves side, who've done well since the new manager came in, and they went there and won 3-0. Now, I was watching this game. I would say in the first half, they did take an early lead, but after that, Wolves had a series of chances to equalise, and they had shots cleared off the line.
Sells and Murillo,
Sells made some brilliant saves, and I think if one of those goes in, I think it's a different game, but they didn't score. And then just before half-time, there was that killer blow, the second goal for Forest and Quiswin, and just things went in their favour in this game. And then as soon as it went 2-0, it's game over. Forest are just going to shut up shop. And to be fair, that centre-back pairing just seemed to impress me week on week. Murillo and Milenkovic, beastly in the air, but especially Murillo, so proactive, so aggressive. And they're just so hard to beat at the moment, Nottingham Forest. And what a brilliant win. Right in there in the top four at the moment. They're on 40 points, so 6 points clear of City and 5 points clear of Newcastle. So really giving themselves a bit of a buffer at the moment. And Nuno's doing a phenomenal job. Another brilliant win. Still delayed on with Albioni. And they just keep going from strength to strength. What a brilliant win it was for them.
It's madness. 6 wins in a row in the Premier League. 7 wins in their last 8. They're just getting wins like it's nothing at the moment.
And it's in a season where there's inconsistency throughout the league. If you just go on a run, it's just look where it can take you. They've got a run of 6 wins in a row, and bam, they're right in a title race, and that's what it can do for you.
Yeah. Can they do a Leicester?
Can they? Well, apparently they've got the same amount of points now as Leicester did at this stage, but Leicester only finished on 81. I don't think that'll be enough to win the league. So
can they get Champions League football? Do you think they will get Champions League football?
They definitely can now at this point, 100%. They're right in the race. They're right in it. As I've maintained, I watch the way they play. I do think there's going to be they will have a spell where all these things don't go in their favour and they probably drop a few points, silly points where you don't expect. Because I look at their front line and Wood is scoring. He's so clinical at the moment, and I just look at their front line. Can that front line keep up for the whole season? I still doubt it. So I think they will be dragged into it more into the fourth and fifth place, but the way they're going and the way they defend, they've got every chance.
I think the way they defend and how resolute they are at the back, and like, have they conceded the least goals or something, or one of the least goals? They've kept the most clean sheets.
19 goals, so they're level with Liverpool and only one ahead of Arsenal.
If they can keep up this defensive display for the rest of the season, you know, they've definitely got it in them to nick a goal or two in each game. I'm not saying that they're going to win the league, but if they go and beat Liverpool next week, then you're going to have serious conversations for it.
Well, they're riding serious momentum at the moment, so I wouldn't put it past them getting a result there.
Can you imagine if they go and beat Liverpool next week, 3 points behind top of the league?
Yeah.
In the second half of the season.
Mad.
Got to give them massive credit. And if they get back into the Champions League, right, this is a team that have won the European Cup, back in the Champions League. I know Aston Villa the same as well, but you've got to give massive credit to not just the job that Nuno's doing, but also the recruitment team for the players that they've brought in.
Yeah, 100%. And everyone laughed at them the last couple of years for signing like 30 players, but just seems as though it's worked at the moment.
Absolutely. And we finish off on star men. Sim went for Ollie Watkins. I went for Mohamed Salah. I was actually really disappointed. Salah didn't get more than one. Used the Salah card and he only got a penalty against Manchester United. But did give me 5 points over you in terms of the star man. So we finish on 20-point gap, 173 to 193.
I thought it was worse because I didn't know I had a 5-pointer in there, so I'm a bit relieved I at least had got one 5-pointer. But yeah, it wasn't a good week for me. But look, a lot of football to be played, so yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's actually mad because like it's just been toing and throwing every week where I've taken like a 10-point lead, then you've got it back level, 10-point lead, back level, close to. But now I think it's probably the biggest gap of the season.
21 points. Yeah, time to turn it around next week.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is the review, the Prem. We'll be back for Predict the Prem on Thursday, I believe, in anticipation for another week. Oh, it's not. It's FA Cup. So we'll be back next week.
It'll be on Monday.
Next week, Monday. Yeah, midweek Premier League football next week where you've got massive games. You've got Nottingham Forest against Liverpool and you've got the North London Derby as well. North London Derby next week. Bloody hell.